Hey everybody, this is Renee Millman at reneemillman.com, and we're going to go within today. Our topic is how to help someone who's going through a difficult time. Now, it may sound like this topic is geared towards people helping others, which it is, but it could also be useful for you if you are going through a hard time. Definitely applicable for both. Let's say you have someone close to you, a partner, a good friend, or a colleague that you trust and are close to, or a family member, someone who comes up to you and tells you about some deep pain that they're going through, a lot of struggle, a lot of difficulty. And you may hear all this and they've just opened themselves up and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, what do I say to them? What do I say to help them feel better? And you may not know what to say. So often we don't know how to respond to these really heavy emotions that come up in someone else. Or if it's our own and we present that to someone else, we might be met with that response. Someone doesn't say anything, or they don't really give much depth in their response, and it can leave us feel like we're kind of hanging, like, hey, I just opened up and you didn't really respond in a way that was supportive. So I'm going to give you three things to keep in mind when you are faced with that situation. The first is know your own darkness. Let me use an example from Star Wars. When they talk about the dark side and giving into your dark side. Well, what I'm going to say, not give into the dark side, but know your darkness, know your shadow side, know that part of you that maybe is not so polished that you don't want to show to others, but when certain buttons are pushed, these kind of uglier, darker, coarser parts of ourselves come out. We have to know our own darkness before we can sit with someone else in their darkness. And it's that knowing and acceptance of our own dark side that can allow us to share space, or rather hold space, with someone else who is really deep into struggle. If we don't know our own darkness and someone else brings up all this big, painful, heavy stuff, we might be, oh, no, we're not going there. No, we're just not going there. Just get over it. Okay. That kind of situation. Okay. If we know our own darkness, then we can tap into that sort of resource, that capacity that we have within us to kind of relate to them and to be there for them, to allow them to express that, because we know and accept our own. We may not like it, but it's something that we work at, something that we have. So know your darkness. That is crucial. Number 2, have empathy. And I mean empathy and not sympathy. Sympathy is more like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear you had a bad day. I'm sorry you lost your job. I'm sorry that your spouse left you. And not so helpful in these situations. Empathy is really a deep level of showing care and concern for the person. It's making yourself vulnerable to be with them in their space. That requires this amount of deep vulnerability to reactivate those parts within you that knows what they're feeling. Or if you don't know exactly, you may kind of tap into something close to that. But to have empathy, we need to feel with them. Not that we get pulled into it, but we need to know the feelings, like we're walking in their shoes, to be able to say, wow, that's really hard. That must have been really scary. What can I do to help you? How can I best support you right now? What do you need right now? Empathy can also look like, I'm really concerned about you. What's going on? Something like that. As opposed to, here's what's not empathy. Just stop letting it bother you, okay? You just need to get over it. How helpful is that? Not very helpful. And my favorite, stop thinking about it so much. Well, the thing is that if we could stop thinking about it, and if we could just get over it, And if we could just stop letting it bother us, we would. But there's a reason why we're not. And we need to address those underlying reasons that are keeping us in that space and preventing us from moving on and through those emotions. So empathy is crucial. We need to let the person express themselves. We all want to be heard. We all want to tell our story. So to allow someone else to tell their story, vent, get it all out off of their chest and speak their feelings is so important. And in response, really listen. Listen on a deep level. Listen to the message and the message behind the message. Listen to the feelings coming from them and respond to that. And number 3, have perspective. Offer the other person perspective. So often when the other person has fallen down into this dark pit, they're in that pit because their perspective has gone out the window. They are in it, you know what I mean? They are in their feelings. So if you can say your feelings are the stage of a play, and when you're in it, you are an actor in that play, on stage, engaging in the whole drama. If you are standing outside of it, you're objective. You're watching this other thing like it's separate from you. But when you're in it, you are immersed in those feelings, and it's like the feelings are doing you. You no longer see what's going on because you are so close to it. And you've lost objectivity, you've lost perspective. You see what I mean? So what you can do if someone is in a dark place and they're just in despair and sorrow and they're feeling like they're no good and they're feeling worthless and they cannot see what they are good at. They cannot see the good. All they see is the bad. All they see is the failure, or what they feel is failure. All they see is what is wrong. What you can do is offer perspective. You can remind them of some good things that they may have forgotten. Remind them of how good they are, how capable they are, how smart they are, how necessary and important they are to you. Maybe give them a fresh perspective on whatever situation they're dealing with that they cannot see because they're only focusing on one aspect. And we all do that. When we are the one in that position, we all sometimes lose perspective. We take something very personally, or we feel very hurt, or it touches a really sensitive nerve in us, and we just fall down. So having someone say, hey, you're being really hard on yourself. That's not the case. Or you're taking it personally, but I know it feels that way. That's not how it was intended. It was actually this or whatever. Offer almost like an outsider's perspective, because when you're standing on the outside, as the friend or the other person, you can see the whole drama. You're in the audience watching and kind of seeing the whole thing play out. It's like when you're watching a movie, and like a horror movie, the classic scene, and you're watching, you're saying, don't go in there. Okay, you're the one on the outside. That is objective. You can see what's going on. And the other person doesn't see that at that time. Okay, so 3 things just to recap. Know your own darkness, show empathy, and offer perspective. All 3 of these things, especially the first one, know your own darkness, they take time to develop. It's not something that you can just snap your fingers and right now, I'm gonna know my own darkness. But that's something that you can work towards cultivating, and that requires knowing yourself, looking at your own dark parts, and working on accepting that. But those, I think, are 3 key ingredients, not the only ones, but 3 very important parts of being able to help someone else who is in a difficult situation. Likewise, it can also help you. It can help you to know if you are the one in that difficult struggle right now. It can help you to maybe look at things with fresh eyes. What is going on? Try to step outside of it. Try to understand that we all have dark and light parts. And to have empathy for yourself. Always give yourself that gift of empathy. Maybe if there's not somebody right then and there when you need them, telling you those nice words, try to come up with that for yourself. Maybe write it down, make a short list. So I hope that that has helped you understand a little bit about this. That's a question I get a lot from people or that I've also observed, is that we don't know how to handle these difficult emotions. And it would be so good if we knew how to respond, if we could hold space and give someone that opportunity to heal, to create that space for them. All right? Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. Please help spread the word. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week.